Hello, I am Dr. Samuel Cross, and today we are going to have a very serious and honest conversation about something you likely see every single time you walk down the health and supplement aisle of your local pharmacy. We are talking about lutein, that famous eye vitamin that promises to save your vision and keep your eyes young forever. Yet the reality behind the bottle is often far more complicated than the marketing suggests. If you look at the colorful labels on these supplements, they make it sound like a miracle cure for aging eyes, but there is a massive gap between what the marketing says and what the actual peer-reviewed science proves to be true. Most supplement companies are perfectly happy to take your hard-earned money while leaving out the most critical details about how this specific molecule actually works inside your human body. My goal today is to give you the solid, research-backed truth so you can stop guessing and start protecting your health with real, actionable knowledge that is supported by the world's leading medical authorities. Lutein is a carotenoid, which is essentially a natural pigment found in plants that gives fruits and vegetables their vibrant yellow and orange colors. In the human body, it specifically migrates to the macula, which is the small central part of your retina responsible for sharp, detailed vision and color perception. This is why it is often called the macular pigment in scientific literature. The theory used by supplement companies is very simple because they want you to believe that if you just eat more lutein in pill form, you will automatically build a stronger shield in your eye. While there is a grain of truth to that, the way they sell it to you is often intentionally misleading because they ignore the biochemical how and the dietary what else that actually makes lutein effective. First, we must address the most famous piece of research in this entire field, which is the Age-Related Eye Disease Study 2, commonly known as the AREDS 2 study, conducted by the National Eye Institute. This was a massive, multi-year clinical trial that looked at whether certain nutrients could slow down age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. The results were clear and showed that for people who already had intermediate or late-stage AMD, a specific formula including 10 milligrams of lutein and 2 milligrams of zeaxanthin did help reduce the risk of the condition getting worse. However, here is what the supplement companies will never tell you on their packaging. The study did not find that lutein prevents AMD from starting in the first place for healthy people with no signs of the disease. If you have perfect vision and you are taking lutein just because you are afraid of getting old, the proven results from the National Institutes of Health are not as strong as the sales label suggests they are. One of the most significant secrets in the industry involves the issue of absorption and a process called competitive inhibition. Your body uses the exact same biological pathways to absorb several different carotenoids, including lutein, zeaxanthin, and beta-carotene. If you take a high-dose beta-carotene supplement at the same time as your lutein, these nutrients actually fight for a spot on the transport proteins that carry them into your bloodstream. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition has shown that taking too much of one carotenoid can actually lower the levels of the others in your blood because they are competing for the same limited space. Many multivitamins are poorly formulated and throw everything together into one pill, which means you might be paying for lutein that your body never even gets to use because it was blocked by other ingredients. Furthermore, lutein is a fat-soluble nutrient, which is a fundamental fact of biology that many people overlook when they take their vitamins in the morning. This means if you take your lutein capsule with a glass of water and a piece of dry toast, you are essentially wasting your money and flushing the nutrient away. Without healthy fats present in your digestive system, the lutein cannot be broken down and transported across the intestinal wall properly. A study in the Journal of Food Science demonstrated that the presence of dietary fat significantly increases the bioavailability of lutein in human subjects. Most companies do not put "must be taken with a fatty meal" in big letters on the front of the bottle because they want the product to seem as easy and convenient as possible. Now let's look at the specific brands that have been punished or flagged by federal authorities for failing to meet basic safety and honesty standards. On March 19, 2026, the Food and Drug Administration issued FDA Advisory Number 2025-1390, which was a high-level public health warning specifically against Nature's Key lutein gummies with zeaxanthin. The FDA verified through official investigation that this product was completely unregistered and lacked a valid certificate of product registration. This means the agency cannot assure the quality, safety, or even the actual ingredients of that product, yet it was being sold to unsuspecting consumers as a health aid. Just a few weeks earlier, on March 4, 2026, the FDA issued Advisory Number 2026-0007, which warned against unbranded Lutein 40 mg liquid-filled gummies. These companies often bypass legal safeguards and government oversight to put unverified chemicals into your body for a quick profit. Even the most established household names in the industry have faced serious legal punishments that you should know about before you buy. CVS Health was recently hit with a major class action lawsuit filed by the Center for Science in the Public Interest, also known as the CSPI. The lawsuit revealed that CVS marketed its advanced eye health supplement as being comparable to the government's famous AR-EDS2 formula. Yet the product was actually missing critical ingredients like vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, and copper. These are the very components that the National Eye Institute proved were necessary for the formula to actually work in the human eye. This was described as a fraudulent bait-and-switch tactic that specifically targeted older consumers who were terrified of losing their independent vision. We also see serious punishment in the form of safety recalls that should make every consumer pause and think. Bausch & Lomb, one of the biggest names in eye care, had to issue a voluntary recall for their PreserVision Eye Vitamin A-REDS2 formula with omega-3 soft gels. While the nutrients inside were safe, the physical design of the pill was found to be a significant choking hazard for the elderly. Reports from consumers aged 70 and older noted extreme difficulty swallowing the large gels and a terrifying choking sensation during use. This highlights how even massive brands can sometimes prioritize manufacturing costs or shelf stability over the physical safety of the very patients they claim to help. Another massive blow to the credibility of the supplement industry came from the 2024 and 2025 wave of recalls affecting brands like Equate, which is the Walmart house brand, as well as Ezricare and Delsum Pharma. These brands were linked to bacterial and fungal contamination scandals that led to tragic health outcomes for many users. If a company cannot maintain a sterile and clean facility to prevent fungus from growing in their products, you must question the quality control of every single Lutein pill they produce in that same environment. Independent testing by organizations like Consumer Lab has also repeatedly flagged budget-friendly brands like Spring Valley for label claim failures. This means that when the lab tested the pills, the actual amount of lutein inside was significantly lower than what was promised on the bottle. To truly protect your eyes and your wallet, you must look for third-party certification marks like the USP or NSF seal on the packaging. These independent organizations act as a private police force to verify that what is listed on the label is actually inside the bottle and that the product is free from harmful contaminants. You should also ensure that any supplement you choose follows the exact ratio used in the successful government studies, which is 10 milligrams of lutein to 2 milligrams of zeaxanthin. The truth is that lutein is a powerful tool for your health, but it is not a magic pill that can cancel out the damage of a bad lifestyle. Smoking, for example, causes massive oxidative stress that burns through your body's lutein reserves faster than you can ever replace them with pills. No supplement company wants to tell you their product will be useless if you do not quit smoking, but that is exactly what the clinical data from major universities suggests. There is also the zeaxanthin connection that many cheap brands completely ignore to save money on production. Lutein almost never works alone in nature, and in your eye, lutein and zeaxanthin exist in a very specific ratio to protect different parts of the macula. While lutein protects the outer edges of the macula, zeaxanthin is concentrated right in the very center, which is called the fovea. Many low-quality supplements provide plenty of lutein because it is cheap, but they include almost no zeaxanthin because it is much more expensive to extract. If you are only taking a lutein-only supplement, you are essentially building a fortress with a giant unprotected hole in the middle of the front gate. The science from the National Eye Institute shows that the combination of these two pigments is significantly more effective than taking lutein by itself. We must also talk about the blue light marketing craze that has taken over the internet in recent years. You have probably seen countless ads claiming that lutein acts as internal sunglasses to protect your retinas from the blue light emitted by your smartphone and computer screens. While it is true that the macular pigment helps filter blue light, the amount of blue light coming from your digital devices is a tiny fraction of what you receive from stepping outside into the natural sunlight for just 5 minutes. Leading experts from Harvard Medical School have pointed out that the real danger of digital screens is not permanent retina damage from blue light, but rather simple eye strain and the disruption of your natural sleep patterns. Supplement companies use the fear of screen damage to sell lutein to younger people who likely do not need a supplement yet if they are eating a balanced diet. Let us also examine the source of the lutein used in these pills compared to what you find in nature. Most commercial lutein is extracted from marigold flowers through a process that often involves heavy chemical solvents like hexane to get the pigment out of the flower and into a stabilized powder. While this is technically a natural source, it is a highly processed one. If you are someone who tries to avoid processed chemicals, you should know that eating a cup of cooked spinach or kale actually provides a much more complex and bioavailable form of lutein that is surrounded by other helpful phytonutrients. In fact, research shows that the lutein found in whole eggs is absorbed much better than the lutein found in supplements, even though the total milligram count in an egg is lower. This is because the natural fat in the egg yolk acts as a perfect delivery system that your body already knows how to process efficiently. One of the most exciting and legitimate areas of research that companies are just beginning to exploit is the link between lutein and brain health. New studies, including those published in the peer-reviewed journal Nutrients, suggest that lutein is actually the dominant carotenoid found in the human brain. There is a very strong correlation between the amount of lutein measured in your eyes and your overall cognitive performance, including your memory and your processing speed. However, most supplements on the market today are dosed only for eye health, typically at the standard 10 milligram level. We do not yet have a proven clinical dose for brain optimization in healthy adults. Yet many companies are already slapping brain booster labels on their old eye formulas to charge you a higher price. The truth is that your genetics also play a massive and silent role in how you respond to these supplements. Some people are what scientists call low responders, which means that even when they take high doses of lutein supplements, their macular pigment density does not increase very much. This is often due to variations in specific genes that code for the transport proteins that move lutein from your digestive tract to your eyes. This means that for a certain percentage of the population, these expensive pills might do almost nothing at all. Without a baseline test of your macular pigment density, which most standard eye doctors do not even perform, you have no way of knowing if the pill you are swallowing every morning is actually doing its job or just passing through you. In summary, for this first half of our journey, lutein is an absolutely vital nutrient, but the supplement industry has simplified the story to the point of being borderline dishonest. To truly protect your eyes as you age, you need to focus on whole food sources like leafy greens and eggs. Ensure you are eating enough healthy fats like olive oil or avocado, and understand that supplements are only a secondary support system. Do not let a clever marketing campaign or a house brand like Spring Valley replace the nuanced reality of how your biology actually works. We must rely on the solid science from the National Eye Institute and the safety warnings from the FDA to guide our health decisions. Your vision is one of your most precious assets, and it deserves more than just the cheapest bottle of pills you can find on a shelf. Instead, it deserves a strategy rooted in authority, evidence, and the honest truth that supplement companies are too afraid to tell you. Now that we have uncovered the marketing tactics and the brands that have faced regulatory action, let us move into the critical second half of this investigation, where we look at the specific biochemical mechanics and the high-level research papers that the supplement industry often chooses to ignore. When we talk about protecting your eyes from the inside out, we are talking about fighting a constant and exhausting biological battle against oxidative stress and high-energy light damage. Every single second, your eyes are open and exposed to the world. They are being hit by photons that can create unstable molecules called free radicals. Your photoreceptors are packed with polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are highly susceptible to damage from these radicals. Research from the Jules Stein Eye Institute at UCLA has shown that lutein sits specifically within the cell membranes of these delicate tissues to act as a permanent biological buffer. It is not just a passive yellow filter sitting in your eye like a piece of plastic, but rather an active participant in maintaining the structural integrity of your vision at a cellular level. One of the most significant pieces of scientific data that supplement companies gloss over is something called the transport protein factor, which is essential for success. Lutein does not just float from your stomach into your eye by some kind of magic or simple diffusion. It requires a very specific protein called STAR-D3 to physically pull it from the bloodstream and deposit it precisely into the macula where it is needed. If your body is not producing enough of this specific protein due to poor metabolic health or systemic inflammation, you could swallow a bucket of lutein supplements every single day and see zero improvement in your macular pigment density. This is why many clinical trials, such as those published in the Journal of Ophthalmology, sometimes show very conflicting results among different groups of people. The success of the supplement depends entirely on the internal environment and the genetic expression of the person taking it. If you are struggling with high blood sugar or chronic systemic inflammation, your internal transport machinery is likely impaired, which makes the supplement far less effective than it would be for a perfectly healthy individual. We also need to address the deep synergy between lutein and omega-3 fatty acids because they are biological partners in the retina. While many people take lutein for their eyes and omega-3s for their heart health, the two are deeply linked within the physical structure of the retina itself. The original AREDS 2 study specifically looked at adding omega-3s to the lutein formula, and while the broad results for everyone were mixed, subsequent sub-analyses suggested that DHA, which is a specific type of omega-3, is essential for the proper storage of lutein in the eye. Without enough DHA present in the retinal cell membranes, the lutein cannot anchor itself properly into the tissue to do its job. This is a critical piece of information because many people who are deficient in green vegetables are often also deficient in oily fish or algae-based fats. If you are trying to fix your vision with a lutein pill but your daily diet is completely devoid of healthy fats, you are essentially trying to build a brick house on a foundation made of shifting sand. Let us talk about the absolute gold standard of measurement in this field, which is the macular pigment optical density test, commonly abbreviated as the MPOD test. This is the precise test used by researchers at world-class institutions like the University of Georgia to prove if a supplement is actually working in a real human subject. Most consumers have never heard of this test because it reveals a truth that supplement companies find very inconvenient for their bottom line. The truth is that everyone starts at a completely different baseline of eye health. Some people naturally have high levels of lutein in their eyes due to excellent genetics and a history of good nutrition, while others are severely depleted from years of poor habits. If you already have a high MPOD score, taking more lutein through a supplement will provide very diminishing returns for your health. Research indicates that there is a biological ceiling effect where the human eye simply cannot hold any more pigment than its maximum capacity. By ignoring this fact, companies try to convince every single person that they need a supplement, regardless of whether their internal tank is already full. We must also be very critical of the ongoing synthetic versus natural debate when it comes to the form of the nutrient you buy. Most high-quality clinical research uses what is called free lutein, which is the exact form found in nature and the form most easily used by the human body. However, many cheaper supplements use something called lutein esters because they are more stable and cheaper to manufacture for a long shelf life. While the human body can technically convert esters into free lutein, it requires an extra biological step involving specific digestive enzymes. For older adults or individuals with compromised digestive systems, this conversion efficiency drops significantly, which means you get less value for your money. Research published in the British Journal of Nutrition has highlighted that free lutein is generally more bioavailable than the ester form in most human subjects. When you buy a supplement, you need to look at the very fine print on the back of the label to see which form you are actually getting for your money. Furthermore, we need to discuss the impact of cooking and food preparation on the way your body handles lutein. Many people believe that raw vegetables are always superior to cooked ones, but for the specific case of lutein, the opposite is actually often true in practice. Research from the University of Illinois has shown that chopping, pureeing, and gently cooking leafy greens like spinach actually helps break down the tough plant cell walls. This process makes the lutein much easier for your digestive system to extract and absorb during the process of digestion. When you add a small amount of healthy fat like olive oil or avocado to those cooked greens, the absorption rate in your gut skyrockets compared to eating them raw and plain. This is a piece of solid knowledge that provides more real-world value than a $30 bottle of pills could ever offer. The authority of food science tells us clearly that the matrix in which you consume a nutrient matters just as much as the nutrient itself. Another area where companies are being less than transparent is the long-term safety of taking isolated carotenoid supplements at high doses. While lutein is generally recognized as safe by the government, we have seen historical examples where high doses of isolated antioxidants actually caused unexpected harm to certain people. For example, the famous carrot study found that high doses of isolated beta-carotene actually increased the risk of lung cancer in people who were regular smokers. While we have not yet seen similar negative data for lutein, the lesson remains very clear for everyone to see. The human body evolved over millions of years to process these nutrients in combination with hundreds of other phytonutrients found in whole plants. When you isolate one single molecule and megadose it in a laboratory-made pill, you are essentially performing a biological experiment on yourself. Authority sites like the Linus Pauling Institute emphasize that obtaining your nutrients from a diverse and colorful diet is always the safest and most effective strategy for long-term health. In terms of specific international authority, the European Food Safety Authority, known as EFSA, has been very strict about what companies are allowed to claim on their labels. In many cases, they have rejected health claims regarding lutein because the evidence was not considered strong enough to prove a direct cause and effect relationship in the general healthy population. This stands in sharp contrast to the very aggressive and often misleading marketing we see in the United States every day. When a governing body with incredibly high standards like the EFSA says the evidence is insufficient for a broad claim, it should give every single consumer a reason to pause. It does not mean that lutein is not good for you, but it simply means it is not the magic bullet that the supplement industry wants you to believe it is. To wrap this up with a focus on real value for your life, the most important thing you can do is focus on consistency over intensity in your nutrition. You do not need a massive dose of lutein once a day in a pill, but you do need a steady and daily supply of carotenoids from a wide variety of whole food sources. A diet rich in kale, spinach, egg yolks, corn, and orange peppers will provide a full spectrum of lutein and zeaxanthin that no single pill can ever hope to match. If you do choose to use a supplement for a specific medical reason, always look for the USP or NSF certified labels to avoid the contamination issues seen with brands like EzriCare or the mislabeling issues found in Spring Valley. Always remember to take your supplement with your largest and fattiest meal of the day to ensure you actually absorb the nutrients you are paying for with your hard-earned money. The final truth about lutein is that it is a truly remarkable and essential nutrient for human life, but the supplement industry has stripped away all the important context of how it actually works in the real world. By understanding the critical importance of fat solubility, the role of transport proteins, and the limitations of current clinical research, you can finally make an informed decision for yourself. Do not let fear-based marketing or empty promises drive your health choices in the future. Rely instead on the solid science, trust the authority of peer-reviewed clinical trials, and always remember that your long-term health is built in your kitchen and through your daily habits, not just by what you keep in your medicine cabinet. You have the power to protect your vision through knowledge and consistency, and that is a truth that no supplement company can ever sell to you in a bottle.